So I would say if you're benching correctly, where you're using, it's a full body movement, you're maintaining that tightness, you should really only be benching once a week. There's certain programming that they one day is a heavy day, one day is a light day. But if you are benching on, let's say, Monday, right? You should be sore. Your upper body, your lower body should be sore for a couple days that you may not be able to bench 2 days later. So the rule of thumb is, I'd say if you've never had benching in your programming before, start with 1 day a week. You can later on down the line add what they call a speed day in later on, but I think at first you just want to make sure that you're getting the movement patterns down, you're getting the technique right, you're getting used to using your legs, right? That's something that a lot of people struggle with because they're thinking, oh, it's a bench, I'm just using my upper body, right? It's when you can get that full package together that you're going to really see numbers increase, as opposed to benching twice a week, right? That second bench day may actually hurt you if you're reinforcing bad habits and bad techniques.
I do have a question. So when you're working on this bench program, what is kind of the rate at which you, let's say you know what your 1 rep max is, what kind of weight should you be working?
So, couple trains of thought, right? My rule of thumb is, if you know what your 1 rep max is, you know that on any given day you can come in and you can bench 225, okay? You should not be trying to test every week. You should not say, all right, last week I benched 225, this week I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna bench 230, okay? Because then you're not building strength. There's a difference between testing strength and building strength, okay? So if you're just testing strength every week, you're not getting stronger, okay? So I don't like to test a lot because, or very frequently, because I'd rather be building it and then in, let's say, 8 weeks, then see how I'm doing, okay? So when you're building that strength, that's gonna be determined more so on your programming. And that is gonna be determined on who's writing the programming. So there's millions of different, you go online and you can search up any, bench press program, and Google will spit out a million of them, okay? But they're all gonna revolve either around, I think, around 2 to 3 main ideas, right? They're either gonna be a percentage based, where you're gonna base it off of a percentage of your 1 rep max. So let's say if you bench 225, you may start with benching 80%, kind of like what you guys did. Like up on the board, you're gonna bench 80% for 2 sets of 2, something like that. There's also what we use is called RPE, or rate of perceived exhaustion, meaning on a scale of 10, you're gonna bench up to something under a 10. If 10 is the heaviest you can do, you maybe one night you want to bench up to a set of 3 up to an 8. So out of a 10 scale, you're going up to an 8. That is going to be kind of difficult for a new lifter to kind of perceive what an 8 is for them. So an 8 for you may be different than an 8 for you on the same day. You may not have had enough meals, you may have drank the night before, you may have whatever. So an 8 today may also be different than an 8 next week. So it's all good. So RPE is based on how you feel. Percentage-based program is going to be based on a set number, and then you could also do a linear progression. Linear progression is you just add a little bit of weight each week, and it kind of is just a slow and steady build up. Again, that's going to be based on the programming that you're doing. There's no end-all be-all, this is the best program. It's just really going to be who you're working with is going to kind of give you or program you the way that they see fit for you. But also to answer your question, whenever just starting, you never want to just jump into a 1 rep max, right? I think personally a 5 rep max or a 3 rep max at first will kind of set that goal for you, like set that number, and then that's your your number to base everything else off of. Because if you're benching poorly with poor technique and you just try and bench for a 1 rep max, 1, you could get hurt, and again 2, you're reinforcing that bad technique that isn't going to benefit you in the long run.
Right, because I was, for a while, when I first started, I was just doing like basically a 5x5.
5x5 is a standard, is a 5x5 linear progression is a very standard, basic program that you can use, especially for someone who hasn't been benching prior. But like I said, there's tons of different things that you can do, and that's really going to be based upon who's programming you, what they see best for you, and how to align that with your goals. You good? All right, let's bench.